Wait, I have, all right, Commissioner Baker,
Aye.
Commissioner Bora,
Aye.
Commissioner Hester,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, in lieu of everyone that has joined us once again this month, I'd like to take this opportunity to move forward our item number 7, old business, the KLM Dog Park. And we will move that forward to, first we will have public comment, and then we will move right into the dog park. Okay, so at this point, I'd just like to make a couple opening comments. I'd like you to know that we have all received many, many, many emails, letters from probably many of you and other people maybe watching, and we appreciate your feedback, your concern. It's truly, I have to say, it makes us feel good to know that we live in a village with citizens that are so concerned and so involved. It's what makes village government work, and we truly appreciate your time to be here on an evening and to take the time to write and express your concerns to us. We truly strive to be representative of our residents. Hinsdale residents obviously are our first priority, and so we do appreciate your feedback. I hope you get involved every month with all of our other different topics as well. Most often our room is empty, so really this is a change for us. But at this time, I would like to invite public comment. I would like you to know that we have very thoroughly read, reviewed, reflected upon every single email, and I mean, we are well over hundreds. I haven't counted them, but so what I would appreciate in lieu of everyone's time is that, first of all, comments be limited to 3 minutes. Like last month, please state your name and your address. And really, we are looking for different information, additional information. I think the majority of you, I don't want to speak for everybody, I think we have an idea of what you're trying to convey to us. The opposition to the dog park, please take the time to share additional information. If there's not a lot of additional information, we'd like to take some time to discuss as a commission. Again, we may ask you questions, we may ask for input. We do want to listen to everybody, but anything new would be really what we're looking for. So thank you, and whoever is up first.
Hi, Matthew Halpin, 938 Almond Avenue, Hinsdale. You know what, I'll make this brief. I appreciate what you're saying, so I'm going to give you an update. If you're not aware, we have created the website saveourdogpark.com. Okay, on that website, we put an online petition. Okay, the latest number is over 400. Okay, people who have signed the petition. Additionally, I pulled the stats on unique users. If you know what that means individuals that have visited at least once to the website that are different. 1,200. Okay, we have 1,200 people who have visited. So my point is simply that people are watching. Okay, this is something that people are paying attention to this. And that I have 1,200 people who visit the site. I got 400 people who have signed the petition that say this is a bad idea. Okay, you're going down the wrong path, and that you are trying to fix a problem that is not a problem. You're finding a solution to something that's not broken. So I will just leave it at that. We'll make it tight, but understand we're watching. There's 1,200 people who have visited this site who are aware of this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Kelpsis, and I live in Indian Head Park, and I found out from the meeting in September that apparently Indian Head Park advertises this park as a free place to have your dog, which I found out very interesting. Thank you for that. I'm actually not on either side today. I do use the dog park quite a bit. I have a 5-year-old Australian Labradoodle who goes all the time, and we loved it. But I come to you kind of as a politician, but don't hold that against me. So I was an elected Park District Commissioner 2 terms, so 8 years. And I just want everyone to know that they've got a really, really difficult job. And I think now you're all looking like, well, why are you talking? I think you're gonna like it at the end, right? So just hang on a second. So anyone also who thinks that Heather's like against you, she's not. She actually is interested in the Illinois Parks and Recreation Association She's interested in the National Parks Recreation Association. She put into the 5-year budget plan a $50,000 allocation for a new 2024, I think, is it 2024, 2023?
Master plan.
Comprehensive park plan. The comprehensive park plan in the village of Hinsdale expired. It was last done in 2001. This is new information. It says in their own documents that in 2017, none of it applies anymore. They haven't had a comprehensive parks plan. One of the things from the September meeting was that you were looking at unused space, right? Oh, this is unused space, and you were worried about the 6-foot fence and all that other stuff. Without a comprehensive parks plan, my experience in 8 years on the Park District in LaGrange, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Someone said, I think Commissioner Waverly said, I think we're really close to KB, right? So that's King Brewer. King Brewer takes care of lots of wonderful old people over there who are really just looking to retire. Something that you might not know is that when you take a dog park that's fenced in, unruly dogs can come. There are no unruly dogs in this park because they've already run away. Okay, like really, they don't exist. They've all run away. And so only this park has this really weird space where people actually can come and they're kind of forced to train their dogs. Otherwise, you just get COVID frustration, go buy a dog at a shelter, bring it to the fenced-in dog park. Those dogs are going to bark. And KB is going to be upset. And I'm very concerned about that, actually. Something that you guys need to know. Heather lives in Elgin. Elgin also has a village that runs a Parks and Rec department. They have a comprehensive plan. The board of Hinsdale needs a comprehensive plan before a decision is made. That's where I think I'm kind of on nobody's behalf. Just as a politician in the Park District, they're about to make a decision because a developer has an urgent need to give away a certain amount of money because they ran out of dirt or whatever. I kind of avoided all that drama. I don't know what the story is. But I think that acting because the developer is urgently trying to give or not give money, I think it's a bad idea. And the next comprehensive plan, and I guarantee you this, 2024, $50,000 currently budgeted in the 5-year capital plan for the village, takes about 2 years. So the soonest that the village really should make this decision is 2026, about, typically. Additionally, every board member in the village of Hinsdale is on 3 different committees. It's required, actually. This issue touches every single one. If you don't go to the village meeting this next Tuesday, you're wasting your breath. Because regardless of this decision today, I think that the village board members need to understand that this is probably a dangerous decision. Additionally, I took issue being a non-resident. As a non-resident, I've eaten 175 times in the 5 years that I've been here in Hinsdale. I fuel the economy. There are things that happen. I tried to find the University of Penn document from 2007. I couldn't get it printed enough. The economics of a dog park like Hinsdale currently has, the people in here that are not residents, don't you guys be ashamed. You might not vote here, but you influence 18 people who do. You might not actually pay taxes here, but you drive Hinsdale's economy. You do. And there are at least 3 businesses in the Chamber of Commerce, and Tom Van Winkle, who runs the Hinsdale Humane Society, they all actually care about how this works. And last, I'll leave this with Heather in that when it comes to getting a degree in leisure studies, and you start to figure out what helps the mental health of a community, I've gone at 5 a.m. to try to find the barking dog. His name is Clancy. There's a barking dog in that one northeast corner. His name is Clancy. Kramer, thank you. Kramer, okay? Kramer barks at 5 a.m., but only when our dogs go there. Keep our dogs away from poor Kramer. Kramer doesn't know any difference. But Kramer's a player in this meeting. Last but not least, the police department is absolutely against this type of a dog park, and I don't blame them. It's like a concert. Every Saturday morning, and every Saturday night, and every Sunday morning, And every Sunday night, they've got 6 cop cars. At night, there's only 4. Nobody's supposed to know that. I think that's pretty close. They don't want to have to actually go patrol all of this information. So I think that the real solution is that the Hinsdale Village should create a park district. Park district taxing will create instantly a $6 million budget for all the parks. Heather would make a great director of parks. And then with the revenue that she's already been able to generate in the last 8 years, you're looking at 2 more. So all of the parks in Hinsdale could have an $8 million budget with great programming and really properly planned, well-strategized, executed stuff. And so whatever this park is, in its current open format, I just think is too soon. And so make sure you speak your mind today, understand what the issues are. Definitely try to go to the village board. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time. I'd like to just, the people in the back, there are plenty of seats, and please make sure you've signed in at the back, but come on in. You don't need to stand outside.
Could somebody or Heather define what the comprehensive plan is for the group and what that might include?
Yep, so it's a master plan. You basically hire an outside firm, and they do their due diligence. They would hold public meetings, they would do surveys. It's, again, comprehensive. They study the entire village and the entire usage of space right now and what the current needs or current uses of the space are, and then they provide recommendations based on that. Sometime in the future, if anyone would ever like to see what the last master plan consisted of, I'd be happy to share it with you. But yeah.
Any other public comment at the moment?
One last addition, Park District is also allowed to have its own police powers. They can actually do their own patrols, for what it's worth.
Hi, my name is Alita Beltate. I'm at 1200 Lori Lane. My husband and I are neighbors of KLM Park on the northeast corner. As we indicated at the October meeting, we are happy with the current dog park. We are also not Kramer's owners.
I have to tell you, I was wondering that.
Northeast does not mean Kramer necessarily. We're okay with the park, we're okay with Kramer. However, as your northeast neighbors, we are attending these meetings for another reason. Excuse me. We are requesting that during your deliberation of the fenced dog park, you also consider changing the time that the east and north areas of the park are open. It is currently open from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. We are suggesting that you consider changing that to daylight times of dawn to dusk for the east and north areas. KLM is a beautiful and massive park. After dark, particularly as you move away from the entrance, it is also an ideal area for an inappropriate behavior that affects the safety of the park and its neighbors. It provides a challenge for the police to catch and apprehend the bad guys. Additionally, this area is just plain unsafe for park users after dark, period. The terrain is uneven, creating a fall risk, and there is extensive wildlife such as skunks, raccoons, etc. Heather and the Hinsdale Police have been very responsive to addressing the occurrences of trespassing and vandalism of our property in the past. And we thank her, the police, and your organization for that, as we did last month. We also think that their time, Heather, the police department, and yours, should be freed up for something else than responding to the vandalism and trespassing on our property. It is absolutely unsafe for someone to be in this dark area, and is most likely a lawsuit waiting to happen when a park user or one of its neighbors is hurt. Since you will be needing to replace your current signage, it would be an ideal time to change the hours in the east and north areas to dawn to dusk without the change incurring the expense of new signs, etc. I know this isn't new. I said it last month. The minutes reflected that I was just not opposed, which is true. We're in favor of the dog park. But this issue, as a neighbor, did not make the record. And that's why it's not a little old lady who, man, she doesn't realize that she said that last month. I do realize I said that last month. I just wanted to be on the record that you heard it. So thank you for listening, and hopefully consider changing the hours for the east and north areas as one more initiative in your efforts to make the park safe for your park users and its neighbors. Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question before you
Yes.
step away? Can you define for me north and east? I think of east and I think all the way down to the platform tennis hut, which of course is operational at night when it's dark. But
That's southeast.
southeast. But so are you saying north of the creek? Or are you saying what is the
If you drew your park and you went, where's north and east? It's right next to Kramer's house.
So unfortunately, I do not know Kramer, so I don't know.
Actually,
his house.
we're the people that had to install the security cameras because of the vandalism to our property. That, is very unfortunate. My husband and I spent over $100,000 of our retirement money putting in fake cameras, real cameras, fences that were damaged within a day of being installed, etc. All of that has not deterred us to realizing that KLM is a wonderful place. It just needs to be a safe, wonderful place. Heather, the police department have worked with us on putting in things to make our property
So
safer.
can you give me if I look at KLM though, can you give me a marker? Where along the park are you?
Exactly the northeast corner.
Right,
where the
Are you right along the new lacrosse field
Yes,
there?
but it's literally in the corner.
Oh,
You
you're
all
in
have
the
seen
corner.
our
I'm
signs,
sorry,
our
I'm
cameras.
Sorry. It
Some
is
of you
Alice
even
there.
talk to the cameras. You're mad at us. Don't be mad at us. We're
Excuse
not.
me, sorry. Oh,
Well,
Alice,
actually,
she's on the
there's
Burbage
somebody
side
that
of
is.
the
I can show you
northeast
the tapes.
corner there.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
Yep,
very
thanks.
much. And thank you guys all.
Hello, my name is Darlene Bingham, and I live at 735 South Garfield Street in Hinsdale. My husband is a Hinsdale native. He grew up in Hinsdale at 706 South Park Street. My in-laws, Butch and Jackie Bingham, lived in Hinsdale for over 40 years. My father-in-law, Butch Bingham, was actually served on the Village of Hinsdale Parks and Rec Board when the KLM off-leash dog park came into existence. And it's been a wonderful thing ever since. The pure intention, as he tells me, was just basically to have an open area for dogs to run, and it's just been a godsend for everyone in this village. My husband and I decided to raise our family in Hinsdale, mainly due to its hometown charm and all the natural, beautiful parks in this beautiful village. One of our biggest draws to purchasing a home in the southeast corner of Hinsdale was its proximity to KLM, a park that we utilize very frequently. We've been using KLM Dog Park for the past 15 years, and it's been truly a blessing. We currently have 2 rescue dogs, Otis and Daisy, who I'm sure everyone has seen me at the park every day, who cry every morning in the car while I'm dropping my 4 kids off at school because they know we're headed straight to the dog park once the kids are in school. It's their happy place, and it's mine too, because that little bit of exercise that they get off leash allows for a busy mom like myself to have a very productive day. Now in Hinsdale, we seem to pride ourselves with all these beautiful parks. However, it seems like we have many restrictions when it comes to being able to use them. When it rains, almost every park in Hinsdale closes, from the Little League fields to the AYSO soccer fields. Likely the busiest park in this town, used 365 days a year, mostly by the dog owners, is the only park that doesn't close when it rains. During the height of COVID, we were selling our first home in Hinsdale on South Lincoln Street, and we had many showings. Our family was having a picnic in Robbins Park, and our dogs, we had 3 at the time, were all on leashes on the picnic with my 4 kids and my husband. An officer from Hinsdale approached us and told us that we could not have our dogs in the park with us at the park, and they would have to be placed in the car. There are just no dog-friendly parks in this beautiful town, and other than KLM. So I ask you, please do not restrict this park to so many that utilize it. The board's duty is to provide outdoor areas for people living in this town to enjoy and have a sense of just being outside. and a large portion of people in this town own dogs. So please consider keeping this amazing 13.3 acre off-leash dog park for all of us to enjoy. Thank you.
Any other new information to share?
Blair Jackson from 730 North County Line. I'm still at a loss as to why this even came up as an issue. When I attended the last meeting, I heard the officer give a report on the instances that happened at the park. I recall there was 3, and 2 of those instances were outside of dog hours, which presumably weren't from the responsible people that attend the park. One of them was not followed up. So, look, I'd just like an explanation as to why even this came up. When I look at the park and its usage, you have frisbee golfers, you have various other events that go on in the park, and there doesn't seem to be an issue with those usages, but there seems to be an issue with the dog usages, and I'm just not clear as to why. When I think you've heard unanimously that the people that are here support the current hours and dog usage, and I'm still at a loss as to why there's an issue to start with. I think the best measure of whether you guys are doing an effective job is if there isn't many people at these meetings and it just runs. The fact that there's such a group of people here clearly in opposition to what's happening is not a good reflection on what's going on. So it's open to you to explain why we're even here in the first place.
I can start with a quick summary, but this is a situation where we have been offered a fenced-in dog park. It was presented to the Parks and Recreation Commission, I should say to the Parks and Recreation Department, from Edward James, the developer. Initially, this was voted on 5 years ago, and it was turned down. We decided at that point, we investigated the need for additional lacrosse fields. We had a huge demand for lacrosse fields, and feel free to jump in, Heather or Brad. We used their dirt. They brought it over and leveled one of those fields for us, so it could be a tournament grade lacrosse field. As you know, it's very hilly back there. The kids are always running either uphill or downhill. The idea was that we could, by means of the developer, get 3 flat lacrosse fields back there. We said, let's do one. It's the one in the most northeast corner. And after doing that, we as a commission decided that we did not want to move forward with the other 2 lacrosse fields. It would substantially change the nature of the north end of KLM Park. It would no longer be rolling hills. It would be, you'd look up and you'd see kind of flat ground. So we said we didn't want that. So the developer went back to his initial proposal, which was I could provide a fenced-in dog park. So our job as a commission is to vote on a proposal that was presented to us. So last month, that was brought forward. We decided we couldn't vote on it. Or actually, that was 2 months ago in September. We wanted more information. We actually reached out to the Hinsdalean because we had not gotten a lot of feedback, and we've kind of felt that there probably would be a lot more feedback than what we'd received. We reached out to the Hinsdalean to publish that article, which I think that has been a misconception out there that they caught us doing something wrong. We asked them to publish that. That's what gained traction. That's how a lot of you heard about it. We came back the following month, which was last month, got a lot of input, still did not feel comfortable taking a vote last month. We pushed it to this month. It's a proposal that's on the table. We have to, as a commission, vote whether to move forward with it and recommend it to the Board of Trustees, or whether we do not think that this is a good idea and we do not recommend it. So that is how this whole thing has come about. I don't know if Brad or Heather has anything else to.
No, I think that's a good summary.
Does that answer your question?
Can I respond to that?
Sure. I'm all about open dialogue, but we're going to move it along.
So in light of that, like the proposal at hand, there's a couple of things that are interesting with this proposal. A, it's a contraction of the dog allocated area, so it's a reduction of the benefit that we enjoy now of having the park open for use for dogs. B, why was the area for the fence in a smaller area on the other side of the park? Why couldn't we just fence off the existing area I'm seriously confused at that point, because if the issue at hand is that you have to have a fence because that was the prescription of the money, well then why don't you build a fence where the dogs are currently?
So, I mean, excellent point. So we had a proposal. It's the proposal that we were vetting, discussing. Definitely an idea. Part of our job is to discuss as commissioners whether to move forward with this current proposal, whether to not move forward with the proposal, make changes, and those changes could incorporate all kinds of different things. What's on the table is to vote yes or no to this current proposal.
Yeah.
What happens after that? That's another question. That's
Okay.
the next step.
Well, probably the final suggestion I'd make is that, for future reference for agreements made with developers, maybe we could just suggest an amount that needs to be spent on the park versus a prescription of having an enclosed fence that must be built, an all or nothing proposal. Like it just doesn't make commercial sense that
And
we
that's
agree.
kind of above our pay grade,
I'm
unfortunately,
sorry.
but.
It just doesn't make
take it into
commercial
account.
sense to agree to a prescription versus a general, let's have some money spent on the park, regardless of what that is, as long as it's a benefit to the greater
And
community.
it's not always on a park. It could be on some other part of the village. This just happens to be where we are today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Gail Tischke, 917 South Brunner, and I know I was emailing with Heather, and thank you for answering back. One of the things I had suggested is, why does it have to be either or? Why getting a fenced-in park, do we have to get rid of the off-leash? So what I just want to make sure, because I know she got to see the emails, when you guys discuss this, are you going to talk all the options that everybody has suggested? Even another dog park at another, let's expand our dog accessibility with this guy's money instead of reducing it, being the builder's money, that kind of thing. I just want to make sure when I sit back down and you guys start discussing, do you have all those ideas to discuss?
We've received every single one.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. No. We were getting them. I was late because it was 5:30 and I was still reading emails that were coming in. So, yeah.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Nicole Bokich. I live at 1300 Lori Lane, so I'm your neighbor wherever you are. Nice to see you. Fabulous area for dogs, but my question was, what was the motive of this gentleman who donated the money? Why? And the complaints that have evolved from this, why those complaints if there were never complaints to begin with? I mean, I don't know. Questions going through my head.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Are you asking why he is offering a dog park or
What's
why
his-
he's offering something?
Yes, what's his motive?
Why he's offering something?
Yes.
That's part of, Brad can probably.
It was what they call a planned unit development. and that
Sorry?
It's, when it was approved, and it was the Hinsdale Meadows, which is on the corner of 55th and County Line.
Oh, correct.
It was a planned unit development. It requires the developer to provide an amenity to the village. The amenity that the developer agreed to provide was to level 3 lacrosse fields at Catherine Leahy Park.
That's what I don't.
He's provided one lacrosse field. He had some issues, and this was explained at the last meeting, that he had not a place on his lot to accumulate the excess dirt that he needed to provide the additional lacrosse fields, and there was no desire of the Park and Rec Commission to add additional lacrosse fields.
So we didn't, what we said was we'd like to see one, and we had one done, and then it was our choice, and we declined the other two.
So what were you gonna do with the park, with the dog park, after you put in the 3 lacrosse fields?
Well, that doesn't mean your dogs couldn't run up and down those hills at the times. I mean, there's no lacrosse players there in the mornings, just like they're there now. The dog park, it wasn't going to influence the dog park. The dogs are still there. They're still going up on the other lacrosse field right now. That land was still going to be, it was just going to look different. We did not like what it would no longer be a rolling hills park. There probably would have been a few. Most of that area is pretty wide open right now where it is, where it goes down and there's like that, I think it's the hydrant that's in the middle there, or that drainage area down there.
But if the lacrosse field weren't going to affect the off-leash dog park, why does a fenced-in
That's a good question. That's something for us to discuss. Something for us to discuss.
And also, have other options been considered? I mean, the dog park, the fenced-in dog park comes out of, I mean, for me at least, out of nowhere, right? I mean,
Okay, so I'm sorry, I need you, because people are watching and they can't hear, so I would need you to come to the mic and just say your name and address, and I don't mean that, but the meeting is live streamed, so.
Okay, Barbara Rieger, 430 North Adams Street. So I was wondering, I mean, there's the lacrosse field, okay, one has been built, two have not been built, that's fine, I understand that. And then there's this idea of a fenced-in dog park, but I mean, I understand the builder is just throwing that in as an option, but have other options been considered, like a foot golf place, or, I don't know, I mean.
I have a question. If I can
Sorry.
help with that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just have one
I'm sorry,
question.
can you just give us your name and
I'm
your
sorry,
address?
my name is Andy Lakis. Everybody knows me as Butters. Chauffeur, chef, whatever.
And your address, please.
I'm sorry, 8524 Candlelight Drive East in Willow Springs. My question to you, Mr. Bloom, because you seem to be most knowledgeable about this, does the one lacrosse field meet the requirement that they give some kind of addition to the community on the part of the builder so they could develop that other area that they've already started with? Or do they still need to provide something else to the community in order to meet their obligation?
No, the one lacrosse field, actually, if the village has the option to put in 3.
So then the addition of the dog park is just ancillary to all that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Robert Silver. I live at 134 Maumelle Street in Hinsdale. I spoke last month, and I hope that I'll keep this one short. I hope that in the last month since we all met, that the commission has taken the opportunity to come down to the park. I know some of you have, so I don't say it cynically. And I hope you've seen what we all see every day, that the real usage and the effect this has on some small incident. On Sunday, happened to be a nice day, but just walking around, I saw at least, I did a quick count, I don't know, 60, 70 dogs in the time that I was there, and quite a few more people. I just want to reiterate from what I said last week, and you heard from other people as well, the notion that you can transpose that into a 3-acre space is, I mean, that's a fantasy, and a bad one. It won't work. It's a bad idea, and I just can't stress enough what a disservice that is to the community. And rather than harangue the commission, I'd like to actually thank the commission. It was very prudent of you and much appreciated for you to advance the issue to the Hinsdale, and I know that you did do that it wasn't a scoop. I really much appreciate it because unfortunately, as much as I'm sure we all like civic life, I mean, we're just not paying attention to everything. It's just not the way of the world, and that's unfortunate, and I'm to blame as well. I would not have known about it, and it's an issue that's particularly important to me because I said I use the park every day and at night, most days. So I really thank the commission for realizing the effect this was going to have on the community and the passion behind it that you see, and this is just a small sampling of that. And I guess I just leave you with the idea that when you're thinking about changes to the park at all, just recall, the park has stood where it is for longer than all of us have been alive. It has been used by dogs for longer than all of us have been alive, and granted, in a free-form fashion back in the 30s and 40s and so on. But don't forget, that's how that's been for generations. And even as a dog park proper, it's been now generations. I would think about that before you hasten to make changes for the future where they don't get to enjoy the benefit that we've all enjoyed for decades now. So thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Hi, Linda Corbus, and I'm an out-of-towner. But just a personal reflection on my own experience. When, excuse me, several years ago when I was living, excuse me, in Riverside, well, actually 20 years ago, when I was living in Riverside, there was a big issue around the water tower. And the first time they were going to build a water tower in the north end of town, the first meeting or so, it was very sparsely attended and whatever. And as the news got out there, the opposition mounted very quickly, and it took from then a couple elections before the state of Illinois found the money to put it in a responsible place. So you have the mid-October meeting, and the dog park people are very well represented. And here again, after the word has gotten out, I'm not seeing any opposition to what we are saying. It is still strongly in favor of a dog park, leash-free dog park, 13.5 acres, KLM. So I think the voice of the people, the voice of your constituency is clear, because there has been a month time to rally the opposition, and I'm not seeing it. So, thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Real quickly. My name's Steve Davis. I live at 6431 Garfield Ridge Court in Willowbrook. We've been there over 30 years, been going to the park for probably 25 years. We live about a little over 1 mile from the park. I just wanted to give you some numbers. Is anybody familiar with the organization called the Trust for Public Land? Look it up. It's tpl.org. It's an organization that is involved with developing and organizing parks. Does anybody know the fastest growing park in the United States? Fastest growing type of park? Off-leash dog parks. Since 20 years ago, there's been an 89% increase in off-leash dog parks. In the past year, there's been a 6% increase. So my point is that this park is way ahead of its time. I mean, it's way ahead of where everybody else is. The trend now is for these communities to develop these off-leash dog parks, and they're growing and expanding because that's what people want. So bottom line is, what my point is that I think it's a real mistake to cancel this park. You know, we've got a wonderful thing here. The rest of the country is moving toward more dog parks, off-lead dog parks, and you know, we've got it. We should keep it.
Thank you. Okay.
My name's Susan Malone. I live at 324 Sheridan Drive in Willowbrook. I'm very close to Hinsdale. I work in Hinsdale, I play in Hinsdale, I spend money in Hinsdale, and I bring my dogs to Hinsdale to play in the dog park. My 20-year-old Chihuahua, Romeo, came to the dog park, and when he passed away last October, everybody was all around poor little Romeo, who was tucked into my coat during winter and during summer, because there's no light in the park. We have to do things like bring special lights to the park. Now, I had another lady up here just a few minutes ago talking about how there was vandalism that had to be dealt with in the park. I'm at your park probably 5 to 6 nights a week. I'm there from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I use this light. There's no vandalism going on at night, unless it's by the Frisbee golfers. I was there on the night when the police were there, stopping the Frisbee golfers. I was there the day after you moved the Frisbee golf, 2 of the goals, to different locations because the Frisbee golfers were, I don't know what the heck they were doing in the corner, but it was nothing that any dogs did. So I don't think that you should punish the dogs because of something that someone else is doing. I don't know if it's still happening, but they weren't dog people, because I'm there at night and nobody's having any problems at night. It's in the summer evenings that stuff was happening. There's a unanimous opposition to you changing and making any changes to this. And I have one last question. When the other 2 lacrosse fields were declined by this commission, did the village board pass an amendment to change the previously agreed planned unit development at the village level?
The lacrosse fields actually haven't been officially declined yet at this point. This was a discussion where they said, in lieu of this, can we do this before anyone has actually officially declined the field? So no, is the answer to your question.
Okay. And I'm completely opposed to making any kind of changes.
I think it's clear from the conversations that the commission is too, so.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to have our discussion. Commissioners, thoughts? If anybody has any thoughts they want to share, questions they want to ask, what are we thinking?
Well, I think what we're hearing is there's very little push to make the change. There's very little outcry to make the change to the dog park. The 99% of the residents and non-residents want to leave the status quo, and so that's kind of what we're hearing, and people have made a good case for it. I think we still need to address the other issues, like the off-leash, the stuff off-leash, any of the issues we have with the dogs being in areas that they shouldn't be. But what I'm hearing as a commissioner is there is no desire to make the change. I don't think we should make the change. I don't think we should add any more lacrosse fields. I don't think we want to scar the park anymore and take out trees or flatten it. And so I think we need to look for another option, and maybe it's another option with the builder, possibly, and I don't know what's possible, but some kind of fund that might be used at a future date. Possibly taking the funds that were to be used for the dog park and banking them for a future date, some future upgrades in the village that we could use at the pool or other places in the village. So I'm still concerned about the off-leash, and there's a lot of off-leash. We need to address that. We don't need the police over at Catherine Leahy Park, and we've got burglaries and other issues in the village. They need to be addressing that. And so I think our focus needs to be on how do we get people to follow the rules and do it the right way as most of the people here do. So that's my thought.
I did want to clarify, I guess, a question for you, Heather, because there seems to be a perception that there are no problems, there are no conflicts between dogs and other users of the park. And I got the impression from some of our earlier conversations that that's not true. There are conflicts. Now, how often, at what frequency, at what times these conflicts occur, that's maybe subject to debate. But I know you did a little bit more research and, kind of gathering the history of issues that have been raised to the village. Is there a little bit of summary that you could offer there?
Yeah, and I think
so we're all clear as to, this isn't just a frivolous.
Yeah, and we sort of touched on this last meeting too. Really what's happening is it's the time that's outside of hours where we're seeing the majority of that activity. That's there. I think that the whole impetus behind this is that we thought when it was proposed that this gives you 24/7, not 24/7, gives you full day access to the park. And we thought that that was a good option because of that. Obviously, it is impactful to you, and we all understand that. But we were coming at it from, okay, we have these issues. This now gives a place for everyone to go that's safe for everyone, that's not an underutilized space. I think that's what we were trying to accomplish, or what we thought was a good idea. Again, this was a proposal. This was not a recommendation from Parks and Rec or from the board. This is a proposal. It was a proposal that was brought to us, and we bring it forward to the commission who does the vetting. We have a group of 7. There's only 6 here tonight, but these are volunteers. They are not elected. They volunteer their time, and they've put a significant amount of time into this, which it's good every once in a while to stretch our legs a little bit, right? So if they were to when they make their recommendation tonight, they will vote on that, and if it doesn't go forward, this doesn't go to the board. I want to be clear on that too. This doesn't move forward if the commission says not to. So again, the majority of our issues are happening outside hours. That's not to say that they never happen during hours. I was actually at the park yesterday morning and I stopped 4 different people. None of them were you that I can tell. 4 different people that had their dogs off leash at the lodge while we had elderly people coming in for screenings. So it happens, and I know you guys know that it happens, and our goal is to try to help curtail some of those people and then really stress the issues that we're having during those off hours.
You know, I gotta tell you, I put a fair amount of time into this.
Do you want to speak into the mic? So.
Oh, I put a fair amount of time into this and working with this group. I gotta tell you, those people are killing me. Okay? You know, we in the morning, we'll be walking down the trail and we'll look and we'll say, who is that person? They're killing us. Because it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I don't know who they are. You know, in today's crazy world, is it our job to enforce it? I mean, I kind of don't want to run over there and say to them, you know, I'm not the police, I'm not the enforcer here. But I gotta tell you, it's not this group. It's a select number of folks, and they're killing us.
I know. Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, can we just, sir, I'm sorry, public comment. We've closed it temporarily. I'd like to I'd just like to let our commissioners discuss, and let's see what they're feeling and hearing, and maybe that will answer some of your questions along the way as well.
Excuse me. I was just going to say that, so when this initially came up, I mean, I think we've cleared up some of the misconception that that we somehow were all just really in favor of a fenced-in dog park. You know, we heard it for the first time too when it was brought up here, and it was our job to vet the idea and hear the proposal, learn what the community wants. So at first, when the proposal came up and I heard of a fenced-in dog park, I thought, well, hey, you know, that's not a bad idea. You know, people can use it full-time, just the exact same things Heather said. So I was kind of interested in learning more about it and talking about it. And then when we had our meeting and I, you know, heard all the comment and all of the opposition and the reasons why people love the off-leash area at KLM, it was so beneficial to me to hear that, and it really helped me to understand, you know, why that is such an asset to our village, just like the swimming pool is an asset to our village. I mean, we really are a unique, we really do have a unique situation. So one of the main things that, I mean, I agreed that the idea that we were fixing a problem that we didn't have, I kind of felt like, why are we looking into this if it's not something that we don't need to do this, is the way I feel. I felt like the builder was proposing this, but it's not something that we need to do. So one thing that I was concerned about or looking into was the safety. And so I did ask, I asked Heather to go back and pull more than just the previous year information from the lodge as far as incidents and the police report, and we did, and we've looked back, 5 years at the incidents at KLM, and I mean overall, there's maybe been 5 dog bites in the last 6 years.
Yeah, we average about 2 a year.
Yeah, so so in my mind, yes, there are things that we need to look at, but again, it wasn't enough to make me say, okay, this is a real problem. And again, most of the issues do appear to be when it's the non-dog park hours. So I think that we do. So I am not, I'm not in favor of I'm not in favor of an enclosed dog park, but I do think that we need to revisit some issues. I think we need to maybe look at the ordinance that we have, and talk about maybe look at the hours of the dog park, see if there's some things that we can tweak by getting the input from, the people that use the dog park and having a discussion, things that we can do to make it a better for everybody. So looking at the hours, we've talked about if we're gonna, do we want to charge people for this? Do we want to have permits for this? And I think that we can, there could be a benefit to having people register their dogs and have a permit, have some kind of tag or something that they wear that shows that I'm registered. But whether or not we want to charge non-residents for it or not, I think we still need to kind of discuss if, what's our point. Do we want to do that, or are we creating more problems? Or
well, we need to do whatever we need to do to keep the dogs north of the creek, right? So that's the thing. If they're north of the creek and they're off leash and they're having fun, they're doing what dogs do. That's great.
It's the unleashed dogs south of the creek that are getting out of the cars and running over there, and certainly the occasional problem where a dog runs into a wedding or whatever. We just can't have that. That has to be
Right.
dealt with. As we said, we can't have the police over there chasing down leash violators. We have to do something about that. So I think our steps need to be geared towards how do we get people to follow the rules, and what are the steps we
Right.
need to do that, so.
We need better signs. You know,
Need
I
better
really
signs,
think
that's
that
an
we
easy
need
thing.
very visible, very clear signage as to what the hours are, what is allowed. And I know, I agree, we do need to figure out a way to have that be enforced during non-dog hours, because that seems like that's one of the biggest problems.
Can I? Heather, can I clarify something?
Yep.
So if we have not turned down the crossfields?
Not officially, no.
So does that mean we don't have a deal cut yet in lieu of the crossfields?
No, there is no deal.
Okay, so if we turn them down, we still can ask them to do something other than the fenced-in dog park?
We would have to discuss that with our attorney.
Okay, but it's an option, okay. So I'm generally, well, completely in agreement with Steve and Heather. I don't think we need to do this. It's pretty obvious that there's no constituency in the village that wants to do it. I think it's important for everybody here and the dogs that they continue to be able to use the park. And I think that the most important thing is, like Heather said, we got to look at other things. I think signage is a big one, right? Because I think a lot of people, if you go over there, the signs are not apparent and they don't know the rules. And so if we could get better signs and educate people as to what the rules are, I think that we'll have better compliance. So that's where I come out on it.
Alice, I echo everything that the other commissioners have said. Interestingly, I don't have a dog. I have never had a dog, and I think I might be unique up here in that. So I took it upon myself between the last meeting and this meeting. I went out to KLM 3 or 4 times, a couple of times during the dog hours, a couple of times not, because I wanted to educate myself in terms of that. And you guys are correct. You know, when you go out there and you see all the dogs and they're playing, it's idyllic. But I will say that in my 4 trips out there, I did not make a single trip where I did not see violations of the rules. And so to me, I'm not in favor of this. I think the public is not in support of this. But to me, the issue really comes down to compliance and enforcement of the rules. And what I'm hearing from several individuals is, you know, we need to figure out a way to stop the bad actors spoiling it for the good actors. So, and I think part of what we really need to focus on is that compliance and enforcement aspect of this, whether that's ordinance changes or whatever it might be.
I'm on the same page. I think, you know, you said it really well. I was originally intrigued by the idea of a fenced-in space. I think there still may very well be interest and demand for a fenced-in dog park among a different constituency of dog owners. But I don't see it as a replacement for what we have currently. And it does sound like there's a lot of opportunity for improvements, both within sort of KLM and how that operates as an open dog park, as well as, you know, I think it came up last time, there may be some opportunities for more dog friendliness in other parts of the village or other park properties. I think there are opportunities for us to discuss or explore, you know, kind of other changes, but at this point, I would not be in favor of this particular change.
In terms of enforcement, would there be any, let me ask you, would there be any appetite, I know it's not your job, but forming a committee of volunteers to voluntarily police and look at the possibility of being there to address violators.
I
Just a
think
thought.
the Cook County dog parks currently have a application set up where they do something like that, if any of you are familiar with it.
That's actually something that I wanted to explore as well, was whether there would be a willingness to form some sort of a, KLM Dog Park Association. So we have, platform tennis associations, we have all kinds of groups, and usually it's a group of people that are passionate about something, and I think the passion is just so evident in this room, and I know people that are not here as well. I very much agree with Steve's comments. For example, our police, they have far better things to do. And I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. A dog bite is a dog bite. But, having to call the police down there or because some dog is disrupting, whether it be a child, at the school or whether it be something, at the KLM Lodge. So you guys are there every day, or a portion of you are there every day. It would be, I think, extremely helpful if you could serve as more of an enforcement body. You said these people are killing you. Well, they are. And I just have to put a caveat in here, if there is some tragedy in there, which I'm not saying there will be, but if there is, we're gonna be in a completely different discussion. So having you, the power of all of you, telling those people that let their dogs off in the parking lot that they just can't do this, they are ruining it for you. I view having an association or a representation of you to help maybe with some suggestions, because I agree with what a lot of you are saying. I think we need to revisit the hours. I think we need to revisit how we communicate those hours. Wouldn't it be lovely to have an organization that we know if we send you, these are the new hours, you're gonna get it out quickly? Like there's cross-country meets. I mean, we get that information out, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to tell you, these are the events coming, these are the hours it's gonna be closed? We could get feedback from you, but we would really count on you to help. Like just, be those bad people and it's kind of like peer pressure. Make people, they're not unreasonable rules. And I think we have a willingness to say, we'd like to explore possibly extending some hours, possibly reducing some, dark hours. I think we have some potential work that we could do that I think would be beneficial both to the neighboring residents around KLM as well as to the dog park users. And that's something that I think we need to investigate and do our research on, and not something that we would necessarily vote on tonight. I think that's something that for our next meeting that we could gather some of that data. But hours, signage, enforcement, it really bothers me, this whole gate leading into Hinsdale Meadows. When I see those pictures and those videos of residents, of people hopping out on those cul-de-sacs at Hinsdale Meadows and their dogs pooping in their yards before they've even crossed into KLM, like there is no way that should happen. So totally against that. I do agree. I think, Chris, you just mentioned, I think we should just take a look at, I don't mean to open a can of worms, but I have a dog. I did not even know until we got into this a couple of months ago that I could not walk my dog down the black path at Robbins Park. And I walk in there every day. And I am, so, I think we need to be consistent in what we enforce. If we have laws or policies or that are out there and we're breaking them, then it's hard to ask other people to not break them, right? So I think we need to be consistent and fair in what we do. So I think we have a little more homework to do. I think tonight we are here to vote on this specific proposal, but I think we have more homework to do on other ways and other aspects of the dog park and hours, et cetera, that we can.
I would echo your sentiments. I just want to add to what you've just said. You made a lot of very good points. I think to that end, to the informational that you want to put out to everyone, the signage needs to improve. I think we're all in agreement there. I mean, it's very difficult for people that are entering the park for the first time or even subsequent times to understand what the rules are and to know where the restricted areas are. Having said that, I see the same thing you do. I mean, Mr. Baker, you're absolutely right. You can go there at any time and see someone with a dog off leash where they're not supposed to be. I personally have confronted a number of those people in a very friendly way explaining to them that that's a ticketed offense if, you know, you're caught doing that, okay? Now, I don't know how many tickets have been issued on that same kind of behavior in recent memory, but I've been going there for approximately 9 years now, and I only know of maybe 2 instances where an individual has actually been ticketed, okay? So, again, the passion that you speak of is definitely there. Unfortunately, that's a two-edged sword. You have to understand that you don't want to have everyone trying to police everyone else that is violating that. It's a very delicate balance of what you need to do. You can make them aware of it, but beyond that, the confrontations can get a little dicey, and it would help if there is someone there that can be an authority figure, if you will, in order to, this is a reporting that needs to be made based upon the fact that somebody's violating the leash law there, It doesn't always help that somebody comes up to someone else and says, hey, you're out of line, get your dog on a leash. You try and do it in a very effective and low-key manner. Unfortunately, not everyone is schooled in being able to communicate that well. So you have to be careful about how much passion you put into that. That's my only caveat in speaking to that. That having been said, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the proposal that needs to be discussed at this point, not, what's going on with the errant dog people that have dogs off the leash. I don't think that was the subject of this meeting. That's it.
It sounds like at this point the commission has sort of a consensus of what they'd like to do. So I would ask that someone make a recommendation and someone second that recommendation. We request that the recommendation be made in affirmative. So when you hear the recommendation made, please don't assume that they're voting in one way or another, but make the recommendation in the affirmative, second in the affirmative, and then vote yay or nay for it. Maggie will do a roll call for it at that time. And then after that's completed, I just have a couple follow-up comments.
So we need to make a motion to approve the fenced-in dog park as proposed in the materials.
Yes.
That is the motion I'm making.
Second?
All right. Commissioner Baker,
Nay.
Commissioner Bora,
Nay.
Commissioner Hester,
Nay.
Commissioner Keen,
Nay.
Commissioner Moore.
Nay.
The motion fails.
And I just wanted to close out real quick by saying thank you for your inputs. Thank you for your patience with us. We really did want an extra month because sometimes there's a very vocal group and until the other side hears of it. So we were waiting for the other side, which never came forth. So thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to.
I'm sorry, before everyone runs, I just have a couple things I'd like to say. There have been a number of items that have been brought up by the group and then by the commission on things for us to look into. While we have this momentum going, this will come back as a January agenda item. If you've provided your email, we can let you know what those topics will be. You don't all have to come. It's not going to be things we're going to vote that are going to be, you'll be able to see the packets, I guess is what I'm saying. But if anyone is interested in sharing your ideas with me, if you think that they're not, they haven't been translated yet, please let me know because we'll make sure that gets into the discussion items for January. The commission can tell you I've been keeping pretty good track of everything that's come through and have already talked through a handful of ideas. But again, if you wish to share them, I think all of you have my email at this point. Feel free to call, feel free. There's multiple of you that I've either talked to today or sat down with or been on the phone with. This is my job. I know many of you have said that before. This is my job, and I'm happy to do it. So if you have something that you'd like to share, please let me know. We will keep the momentum going on this. But again, I do think it's good that you all come out. This is how government should work. So,
And if I could just say a quick kudos, I just have to publicly thank Heather and her staff and the rest of the Parks Rec Department. And also Brad. I think they've gotten a lot of negative press and they were doing their jobs. They were communicating a proposal that was presented to us. And I think sometimes words get taken out of context. They do an incredible job. And there's a lot to take care of in this village. Likely, I'd like to thank my fellow commissioners. I know this caught us a little bit off guard, and everybody was very engaged and really did their homework and talked to residents and took public input. So thank you to everybody. And if you would like to stay and listen to some other parts of our agenda, you are most welcome to. Otherwise, have a good evening. Thank you for coming.
Nobody's going to
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Candy. Well done. Bye. Alice. Kathy.
Thank you, Kath. Nice to see you out there.
Brian is
Oh,
here.
thank you. Thanks for coming.
What you're talking about. Yeah, I just talked to
Kathy.
our forester. He does have them in the plaster place.
I lost that mask.
The ones on the east side of the park? Yes, they said that they'd hope to
Thank
have
you.
them within next week.
Thank you.
So hopefully, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I gotta get back in order.
Well, maybe they will. We're gonna talk about the pool.
Okay, thank you all very much.
So exciting.
Great job.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
We are now gonna go back to, Heather, did you wanna say something? Were you-
No, I was
Oh,
just
sorry,
moving
okay.
along, that's all.
Okay, moving on. All right, back to item number 5, our liaison report, Gateway Special Recreation Association.
A couple things I want to highlight. We are still trying to purchase a second, our third vehicle for Gateway. I don't know, and maybe Brad could tell you too, the state vehicle purchase is, I think 14 months behind right now.
Yeah, I'm not
I mean, it's significant. So Gateway still doesn't have their vehicle. It's likely we won't have it until at least the end of next year. Ray Graham has said though that we can use buses if we need to. Our registrations are back to where they were pre-COVID and plus some, which is absolutely fantastic. Hinsdale actually has 15 recently. We normally didn't go above 11. So we've either gotten new community members or people that are more interested, invested in this, which I think we're seeing kind of across the board with our programming anyway. That and they are looking for staff as usual. However, they have kind of slowed down a little bit with the with camp being done. So if you guys know anyone, if you hear anyone's interested in internships or anything like that, there's paid work there. And it is helping people in the recreation field. So they don't necessarily have to be therapeutic rec, but if you know anyone that's interested, we can always send them.
Oh, that's what I was
that
gonna ask.
direction.
What is the requirement?
There really is no requirement specifically. They'll train you. So you do have to be 18. You have to be
Okay,
18.
okay.
But outside of that, if you know anyone that's interested, it's really part-time work. But if you know anyone interested, we can send them that direction. And that's the only thing I want to highlight, unless you have any questions.
Are there going to be
Sorry?
limits on programming during the winter time?
As of right now, no. There's no limits on size. But the only thing that we have in place is the mask mandate. So as of now, no. They've started up their field trips again, all of their traveling, and they've actually have groups going into the state competitions and things again. So as of now, there's nothing. And I wouldn't anticipate it unless there's some new development. So.
Any other questions on Gateway? No? Okay, thank you, Heather. Item 6A, our monthly recreation staff report for October.
Yep, and if you guys have questions as we go on, let me know, but I know we have some slightly meatier things coming forward, so I'm not gonna spend a significant amount of time on here. The lodge right now, again, we are seeing, I know we were very cautious at the beginning of this year to say, are we going to meet where we were hoping we would? The lodge is doing well, and we're seeing that continue through this year. Thankfully, the mask mandate really hasn't affected us. We're picking up a lot of last minute rentals. We just picked up like a first birthday party. They asked to put a bounce house inside the lodge, and we were able to accommodate it. So
Inside?
Inside.
Wow.
We measured, made sure everything would fit. They weren't gonna ruin anything. But we're seeing a lot more traffic come through again, and their booking up, as you can see, next year is looking really nice for it only being November at this point. So again, we're remaining hopeful that things will just kind of stay open. We'll keep at the capacities we're at, and we'll just keep seeing a rebound for the lodge. From what you can see, we're kind of potentially going to approach again pre-COVID, even pre-2019 numbers for the lodge. So.
We just had a record month, right? Record-setting month in October.
Yes,
In terms
we
of
did.
revenue.
We had a
That's
huge.
amazing.
I think that I want to say 2014 or 15, we were at like 28,000. So it's not the highest October on record, but it's pretty
right, I
close.
saw that one.
Yeah. Upcoming events in the brochure. So we did have the brochure discussion last time. We do have a nice postcard that Sammy has designed that'll be going out. We will print anything in-house for anyone that would like to have one printed in-house. We're not anticipating any change to registration in it just because we haven't seen it so far. But we also have a really nice, I'm sorry, remind me of what it is. There's like a little sheet that'll go with it that they can actually, as they're going through the stuff online, they can write down what they're looking to do so that they don't have to keep like going back into the online version. Or
So is that something they print out?
Yeah, like a worksheet. I think Chris
worksheet.
suggested it at the last meeting of
Does
having
that
some
come
sort
with
of
the
like
postcard?
worksheet that they can pull out of or print or download from our website. And
Oh, so they download
yeah,
that.
so like the kids could like flip through the digital version and kind of write down what they want to.
Yeah, they do that.
I kind of see it as like when you got that Sears catalog and circle all the presents you want. They do that just on this worksheet. So, which by the way is an Amazon catalog now. I
We
know.
used to star and highlight it.
Yep.
Turn down the corners of those pages in the olden days. Yeah, I know.
So we are moving forward we added Pizza with Santa, and then we also have the Breakfast with Santa, and then we changed to Winter Wonderland. All of those events are at capacity with wait lists. And we're talking significant wait lists. So like Pizza or Breakfast with Santa has we could probably do a whole other event at this point. We just don't have the space or the staff for it right now. We just don't have anywhere to put it or the time to do it. So we've added that additional event. We took 350 people for Winter Wonderland, which is 150 more than we would for Polar Express. And we're still not meeting the need for the community, which
We should have told the dog park people about that first weekend in December that they're
Well, again, I have all
hours.
those emails now, so my plan is when we go forward if there's anything big that comes up,
Okay.
we'll start sending those
That's
things
great.
out to those emails. Yeah. We even have our reindeer coming. We have our own Kristoff right here. I think it's going to be a really nice event, and we're tying in a donation component to it. We're asking people to bring a gift for Toys for Tots, and we'll be collecting. The police department will be on site to help collect for that. The next thing we have coming up, so the fall park cleanup on October 7th was postponed. We ended up having really cold, rainy weather. We allowed groups to come out and reschedule. So we had a handful of groups come out over the next couple weeks and do the cleanup in the parks as opposed to all on that one day. Fall Festival. I don't know if any of you were anywhere near Robbins Park that day, but in the 9 years that I've done Fall Festival, we've never run out of pumpkins prior to the last hour. There's been a handful of times where we've run out of pumpkins in the last hour of the event. We ran out in the first half hour. And we just saw people keep coming. Our vendors ran out of things. The Hinsdalean was kind enough, they always take pictures for us. They had a line at least 50 deep the entire time, and they stayed an extra half an hour to try to get pictures in. It was an amazing turnout. Again, on par with what we're seeing with everything else. People are coming back in droves to do things, which is fantastic. So,
God, I was at the mall, and you would think it was Black Friday already. Like there are no what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. People want to get out. People have the ability to get out. So, not that you'd wish for more pandemics, but I mean, hopefully people keep this going. So I don't know that we'll necessarily go for more pumpkins next year because again, past history has showed us that we don't really go through all of them. But it was really nice to see so many people turn out, and it was like the most perfect fall day. It was, I would say, in the 50s. It was sunny. It was just a really nice day. Upcoming things, we have the Turkey Trail, which will actually be put up this Friday. You'll start seeing that around town. Decorating the holiday trees, and Trustee Fisher has offered to judge the ornament contest this year, so she'll be coming in to do that. Pizza with Santa, Breakfast with Santa, Winter Wonderland, and then Santa's Mailbacks, and you'll see the return of Santa Bloom advertising that. So, so that's it for events and brochures. Any questions before I move on? Fall field rentals have mostly wrapped up at this point. We have a handful of people that will be out at VEC, but by the end of next week, those will be done as well, and we're looking to start allocating space for January. There's one other item I forgot to put in here. We are actually looking to add a recreational lacrosse league to Hinsdale. We accepted proposals from a handful of groups, and we'll be making a decision tomorrow on who will be starting to do that league. And they'll be using some places at space at KLM, some places in Robbins and Burns. Once we move forward, it'll be branded to Hinsdale. Once we have more information, once we've kind of moved forward with accepting someone's proposal, we will let you know. But I'm anticipating that we'll see a even heavier lacrosse presence throughout town, especially visible in the central area of town, as opposed to just KLM.
What is the age on that league or something?
It starts all the way down at 5 for instructional, but goes up to 14, so it's pre-high school. Yeah. And it was geared toward boys, but we have asked the groups to be able to expand into girls too, or at least be inclusive to do both. So. The ice rink, the new
Are they
rink.
co-ed?
I'm sorry?
They're co-ed? If
They can be if they have the interest, but not enough to form a girls' league. They can be co-ed. Yes. So, so ice rink is coming up next. We do have the liner. It did come in. It's just a matter of us getting the right temperatures for it. I did want to highlight at our last meeting where we talked about the ice rink. I reached out to Clarendon Hills to find out some information from them. They took 6 days to freeze on their courts last year, which was the same amount of time we did, and we actually opened before them last year, which I thought was interesting. When they looked back at their dates, they opened 2 weeks after we did, and then the only reason that they were open the same amount of time as us in the end is because we had the vandalism. So we would have actually had the same type of season for the rink as they did. So I don't know what the answer is to that again. I think we need to keep digging at the ice.
So what you're saying is that on their flat tennis courts, it took them just
It
as
still
long
took them
to
6
freeze
days.
as it
Yep.
does on our
Yep.
uneven
John and I
burns
thought
field.
for sure that theirs was less time, and we thought we'd heard them say that, but their superintendent of parks is who, Mike Fletcher is his name. He said, no, we actually opened after you last year. And he said, you made us look bad because you opened first, and we got all kinds of complaints about it. So he said, but then you have vandalism, so people came here for that week. And they were actually the group that let us use the tool that John and his staff used to fix the rink afterwards. So, so again, don't know what the answer is to get a longer season other than stopping global warming, but we're investing in a chilled system.
Tennis courts. Flat surface.
So we do plan to open again though this year. We'll have staff on site to open the warming house. We'll have hot chocolate and the usual like we did in previous years. Parks bathrooms will be winterized coming up in the next couple of weeks. And the portables at KLM will be removed on November 15th and reinstalled again in April. So just for your reference, the bathrooms that stay open year round are Burns because it's heated, and we have the ice rink out there. KLM has heated bathrooms on the south side by the South Pavilion. And
So if they're not heated, the pipes freeze? Is that
yeah, they go in and winterize them. Yeah, they blow out the pipes and then winterize them from there.
Where is our portable bathroom at KLM?
We do. We have portables that sit right next to the North Pavilion. There's a handicap and a non-handicap portable there, and then there's one at the far
behind the Zook House, kind of going down that
Yep.
way. Yeah,
and then there's
okay.
one on the far north side of the park, close to the culvert area. It kind of sits just northwest of the culvert,
I don't remember that
north
one.
of the Montessori, that side of the park. There's one that sits there.
Well, what are the hours?
Unfortunately, they freeze and they damaged out there in the winter. So you'll still have the bathrooms on the south side of the park. I know it's a hike, but you'll still have those bathrooms open. So.
What are the hours on those when they're on the bathrooms during the winter?
They open them the same time. So whenever park staff come in, so usually 7:30, 8 in the morning, and then the police will close them at night at 10. So
Okay.
whatever the park hours are is what they're generally open for, generally. So, and then out of here you see John's report. John wanted to share a forestry report for you guys. Usually you don't get to see this, but you can kind of see all of the trees that they're pruning, the trees that they're removing, the trees that are, he has the infestation information in here. And I think he had planting information. Oh yeah, trees planted, stumps removed. So this is just the
there a
report
certain
so
type
far.
of tree that they plant as replacements? Do they try to replace it with the exact kind of tree, or do they have a standard?
No, if you go back and watch Fridays with Fennell, John actually talks about how we don't necessarily always replace with the same tree. It doesn't, if the one tree didn't do well there, they try to find a type that maybe will do better in that situation. So sometimes you will, but not all the times. He's trying to replace, like even right out here, we have calorie pear trees, which are dying, they're not doing well. He'll be taking those out and putting in trees that are more resistant to the heavy salt and the heavy traffic that kind of goes through that area. So not all the time. Sometimes they do, but not usually. And then
Are they
again,
done
his parks
planting?
maintenance report is in here too.
Are they done planting for the year?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Are they done planting for the year?
I think they're done with planting. However, they don't have, most of their removals will happen in usually the winter months when things start to freeze. So KLM has a number of older evergreens that are dying or dead that they'll come in and remove or take care of during the winter months. I think there's a handful on the east side of KLM. There's trees that were put in there. They're replaced by the developer. It's still their responsibility to manage those. So there's a handful of evergreens there that'll be replaced still within the next week or two. But the majority of village planting is done. Yeah. Again, and his activity measures or his parks maintenance report is here too.
Any questions on the staff report? Okay, Moving along to item, we've done with 7, 8, new business, Hinsdale Swim Club license renewal.
Yep, so the license renewal is up for another 3 years. We've met numerous times with Sue Gold, Scotty, who else was with us? Yep.
Wait, Sue Gold and who's the other person?
Scott
Erdman. Oh, Scott,
Erdman,
yeah,
no, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Yep.
Kristen Franzen, thank you, that's what I was looking for. We kind of talked through everything. HSC is coming back and they're asking to use the same pool time. They did ask slightly to change the hours, which I think has been coming up for a long time. The 5:30 is a little early. We worked out an agreement though where we always want to have that time available for our master swimmers. So the master swimmers will always be able to come in at 5:30. We'll be opening the pool still at 5:30 for masters. However, there's going to be a handful of days and times where HSC swimmers actually won't be swimming until a little bit later, but HSC is going to pay for the master swimmers time because that's part of their contract. So on top of that, they've also asked to add weekend mornings, both Saturdays and Sundays, and then they'll still have their 3-day swim meet. The direction from the board back in 2012 was to make sure that they're covering all the true costs. So we went through and did true costs, so including what lane rental times would be, what staffing costs are, all of that information. And then factored in the increase to minimum wage for the next 3 years. And so their 3-day swim meet total plus their weekend mornings and the weekend or the weekday mornings are all listed here for the next 3 years. So for 2022, they would pay $31,000, then it would move to $32,000, and then $35,000. So that's a 3% increase to include for anything else, like if utilities went up or anything of that nature.
So just a quick question there. So those numbers are the same in 22 and 23. Is that just a mistake? Weekday mornings, it's $17,766 for both years. Isn't that where the 3% and the wage increase should be factored in?
The 3%, yep, I must have copied and pasted something wrong. I will get you the new numbers. I must have copied and pasted something wrong because they are different numbers in here.
I'm assuming the bottom number, the total number is incorrect as well.
Yeah, I'll find that for you. I'm sorry, I didn't even notice
Because
that.
I think it's incorrect also in the agreement.
Yep.
The same numbers are in the agreement, so.
All right, yeah, I'll have to send this back to, before we sign this, I will send this back to the attorneys to approve and put the correct numbers in. Either way, which one? Look at this page, sorry. No, these red numbers is the one she's talking about. These two are different.
The 766.
Yeah, so that's what we have to adjust. I apologize for that. So we do need to adjust those. I will send you an updated document out with the correct numbers. Long story short, we're able to meet the requirements that they're asking for, or the requests that they have, and they're comfortable with the increase in fees. So if you're comfortable with that, I'll send you the updated data, and we can move forward with the contract after that. Why don't I just bring it back to the January meeting?
Sorry?
I'll just bring it back to the January meeting if that's okay.
Do we have time for that?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That doesn't need to be signed until March.
Okay.
Yeah. You're fine.
Yeah, I'd rather approve the correct
Yep.
numbers.
We'll get that in there. Sorry about that.
What time's the pool open on Saturday and Sunday?
So the hours that we talked about previously, now it'll be 11:30 to 7.
Okay.
So we took an hour off the end of it and added it to the beginning of it. So barring any changes, I always feel like I need to say that all the time now. Barring any changes with the way COVID things are, we plan to be back to a completely regular pool season next year. So 11:30 to 7 for opening hours. That would be Sunday to Saturday. So every day of the week would have that set hours.
Heather, who, other than Hinsdale Swim Club, will we also be renting to other teams?
Yep, so any weekend hours or morning hours that they're not using, or even evening hours, we'll be renting to their teams. Lions has already, who else do we have? Lions has already asked about hours, and there was someone else, wasn't there?
Quite a few.
Okay, Brian has quite a list of people that are interested in still being at the pool, so I don't anticipate that our rental revenues will really decrease compared to where they've been.
So in
Does the Hinsdale pool have any impact on that? I don't know, is that new pool 50 meters at Central? So does that impact this at all?
As far as I know, Hinsdale Central's not renting out to any other swim clubs other than Hinsdale Swim Club. Per the agreement, I think they're going to still continue to rent for the next few years.
Yep.
I think the pool that is affected, the outdoor pool more, is going to be the FMC pool that was just recently built in Westmont. This past summer, we did have a few teams that had rented previous years that have not returned, mainly because I think they're getting a facility for the hours they want, because there's a lot more space, and the times that they want, as opposed to what we could offer them.
As far as the times in the mornings, is the pool, are swim teams done by 9:15?
Yes.
So regardless of who it is, they're like from 9:15 on, then it would be swim lessons?
Yep, 9:15 to 11:15 would be our programming,
Okay.
and then the pool would open at 11:30 for the public. But at the same time, the baby pool is open from 9:15 to 11:15
Okay.
also.
Thanks.
And we probably should let you go through the report in a minute of the aquatics report, and then we can ask your aquatics question. I think right now, let's
Yeah,
finish
I would say
focusing
if we
on the
table this, I'll
Hinsdale
bring it
Swim
back to
Club
January.
agreement.
Yeah.
Because I actually have a question of our audience in a minute when we get to the rest of the pool report. Do we have any other questions do you have anything else to share with us on the agreement?
Nothing else at this point, no.
Okay, so
Heather,
it will
just
come
a-
back to us in January.
Just
Okay.
a general comment, when you bring us agreements like this for updated, is there any way that you could get us a marked version to show what's changed from the prior version?
Yeah, I think I have them, especially from when the attorney changes it. So yeah, I think I have a marked version somewhere that I can give you.
Okay, it's always helpful to see what's actually changing, so.
Okay, so let's, we'll table the Hinsdale Swim Club license renewal to January. And let's look at our annual pool report.
So
I'm gonna let Sammy present this, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So overall, it was a successful season. I think, I mean, I've been here for 5 years, and I think this is my favorite summer so far. We were almost to a normal operating season compared to 2019. We didn't bring back all of our programming that we would normally offer, but we did sell memberships again. Most of the facility was open at full capacity. Concessions returned. We did have a brief time period in the beginning of the summer where we did have to do reservations, but by June 12th, we were open just for general open swim, so that was very exciting. We did have a lot of our returning swim clubs that were unique renters in 2020 come and swim with us in 2021, so you'll see that reflected in our rental revenue this summer. We hope that many of them will return again next summer. I think people see the value of our beautiful outdoor 50-meter pool, so we're hopeful for those people will return. On the next page, you'll find our financial recap. So we decided in this report to compare the 2019 season to 2021 because we felt those seasons were more comparable. However, we provided you guys supplemental materials that have a table comparing the 2020 revenue to the 2021 revenue. So you'll see both of those tables reflected now. For 2021, you'll only see decreases in revenue for our swim team and our concessions. Swim team was primarily due to the fact that we didn't offer a traditional program this summer. So we hope to see that number rise again next year. And overall, you'll see that we had a pretty good profit this year. So we're a banner year, as Heather likes to say. So, so we're hopeful for that to be great again next year. Pool attendance was up for the highest in the last 4 years, at least. Like Heather mentioned earlier in our meeting, we were just seeing people come back in droves to our pool and to our events and programs. So we had record numbers. For programming, the only programming we did not offer this summer, which will return next summer, is our group swim lessons. We did offer private swim lessons, water polo, dive, both group and private dive lessons, an Olympics camp. What else did we offer? Stingray camp, which was a water polo camp. So we did offer a number of programs that gave the community options to be in the pool and learning to swim or expanding on their skills. You'll see that our revenue is higher than in 2019, but that our enrollment is lower, and that's just primarily due to the fact that we offered private swim lessons, and that was the opportunity for the community to learn to swim, and those are just more expensive. So that's why you'll see that revenue number being higher than what the enrollment reflects. So we're hoping that in 2022 we'll kind of see things settle and see where people are really interested, and if they'll go back to group lessons or if they'll stay in private lessons. just from our survey. I think we saw that people saw the value of that one-on-one instruction, so we're hopeful that people will continue to do that. I know our lifeguards enjoy it, Brian enjoys it, so I think we'll see more enrollment in private lessons than we have in previous seasons when we had both options, but I think we'll see some people return to it as well.
Sammy, before you turn the page, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to, and I left Heather a message really late last night, and I apologize for that. What I was trying to understand was, if I look at my financial recap revenue, I have programs over here, and in 2021, the revenue was $59,801, right? However, those programs, it says include lessons, diving, water polo, private lessons, et cetera, right? But then I look over here to the swim lessons revenue, and it's the same number. So what I was asking was, is this number actually swim lesson revenue, or is this number also including the dive and water polo that is included over here? They're the same, that line of numbers is the same on both of these revenues? And I think that might.
Both in the financial recap and on the table on page 7 encompass dive and water polo.
Okay, so this is not just swim lessons
No,
revenue?
this is not just like
Okay,
group
so
and
it's not
private.
reflective of, those 344 swim lessons do not correspond to that 59,000 revenue, is that what you're saying?
No, it does. I guess, are you trying to determine a number for just
Yeah, so
people
I
doing
looked at that and
group
I was like, oh my
private?
God, we had 480 and 460 swim lessons in, 2 and 3 years ago, yet our revenue is so much higher now with a decrease in lessons. This is not corresponding to the same thing. This is including diving and water polo and.
Yeah, and that's how all the numbers are.
Oh, so
all
those
they
enrollment
all
numbers are not
reflect
just swim
dive.
lesson numbers?
Maybe it's just a relabeling to say
Yeah.
programs.
Oh,
Excuse
so
me.
these are
Yeah,
all.
so I guess maybe
Yep.
it should just say aquatics programming and not just
Got it.
swim.
Got it. Okay,
lessons.
thank
Yeah.
you. That was confusing to me.
Yeah.
Well, and didn't you say that the gross number went down because you weren't offering the group lessons, but because they were more expensive, the revenue went up?
Yeah, I mean, it's significantly more expensive. It's almost 3 times more expensive for private lessons versus the group lessons.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
done all of them. I
Yep.
remember those days. Oh, yeah.
But it's because you get quality instruction by Brian Powell.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So speaking of Brian Powell, town team did not operate as a normal season this summer. The conference decided not to do dual meets and run conference this summer just because of the pandemic. Some teams did decide to do like an intramural team and have intramural dual meets, but just because of the size of our team and the capacity of our pool and what we kind of had planned out for the summer, we did not run that typical season. So, but we did want to give our usual swimmers an opportunity to swim with their favorite coaches and continue to practice their skills. So we offered Stingray Camp, which all of their coaches came back and taught that, and they also taught private lessons to those kids too. So our typical town team swimmers had an opportunity to be in the water with their team. So we're looking forward to 2022 being a normal summer. Barring any restrictions, and bringing back those dual meets in conference. Unfortunately, my favorite part of the summer special events did not happen at the pool, but we will bring many of them back in 2022, including our Christmas in July event, which was at Robbins Park this summer. We'll return that to the pool as a float-in movie with Santa and Mrs. Claus. So. As far as staff goes, it was a great season for our staff. Per usual, come mid-August, we always run into the issue where they go back to school and we run low on staff. However, we made it till Labor Day successfully, and it was a fun and great season for all of our staff. We did exceed our budget for personnel, and that was just primarily due to the fact that it was a dry, hot summer. We had minimal closures, which is always great, and the fact that the minimum wage continues to rise. So this year it was $11 an hour. It'll continue to go up by $1 until we get to 15. So next year it'll be $12 an hour. So we'll continue to see those salary expenses.
It was more accurately budgeted for this next year too, though, so that we hopefully won't go over budget with it in future years.
Every season, we send out a survey to our members. We had 141 people take it. Overall, the responses were overwhelmingly positive. Many of them commented that they were going to purchase memberships again, and just commended the helpfulness of staff and the cleanliness of our facility. The only real reoccurring feedback were that they wanted more variety at the concession stand and that they were out of stock. This is something we hope to address next year. Extending hours, more lap lane availability, a slow check-in process, which we are getting new computers next year, so hopefully that'll eliminate that problem. And then less deck chairs, which I was very surprised that was a reoccurring comment. It was literally in there a lot, so I was just very confused by that. But
I think it's because the deck chairs are just right next to each other, so you can't even get in the chair because the other chair is right next to you. So like there's, just, which I know, we want a lot of chairs, but
that makes sense.
It's hard to maneuver.
I think the new deck changes will help us spread things out a little bit more, and we're going to get rid of some more of the lounge chairs and get some more upright chairs, things like that, so hopefully that'll help a little bit with it.
So as far as concessions go, it was open again this summer, which we were excited about. Baldinelli Pizza ran it through late July until they were purchased by Get Sauced Pizza. And they continue to run it through the end of the season. Greg will be at a meeting in early 2022 to discuss the renewal of that contract with them and any sort of changes that we want to see, so we'll be able to discuss that with him then. But we've already been in conversations with him about new ideas for the menu, birthday parties that they host with us, and revamping those packages, so we're excited to see how things could potentially change.
That'll be the January meeting he'll come to.
Do we have any, I don't know, hypotheses or clues as to why we keep seeing a decline in concessions?
We actually asked him that when we met. He said he saw it happen at Clarendon Hills too. The only place he's not seeing it is Western Springs. He didn't really have any real reason for it. They did run out of a number of things this year, so he thinks that they would have been comparable to previous years had they not had such stock issues. And I think it's not necessarily their fault. A lot of industries are just finding like, I can't get chicken, I can't get chips, I can't get this type of ice cream. So he has plans to pre-order and store things as best he can with expiration dates and things. But in general, he just said it doesn't seem like these communities are purchasing as much from concession stands. He has a lot of really great ideas that we think you guys will be interested in hearing, and maybe in how to improve the sales. But we don't really have any real idea other than to say that it's not just Hinsdale. He's seeing it happen where he's at. He did see an increase in Western Springs, but Western Springs has a very strict no outside food, no outside drinks. And it's more of that, I think, country club feel, because they pay, it's a private pool, not a public pool. So it's a little different.
Can I just ask a question about that number? I'm sorry, I'm into the numbers today. But so when I look at 2021, 3682, right? Isn't that supposed to be 12% of the 32,475 plus $1,200?
Yeah, we did not charge them prior to May because of the pandemic. We did not charge them that full $1,200. They were
is the $1,200 what the rent is? That
it's
the rent
$100
component?
per month, but we didn't charge them that entire $1,200 because of the pandemic and how the restaurant was struggling. We just didn't feel it was a friendly thing to do to try to charge them for it.
$1,200 per month.
No, $100 a month.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, so we charge them $100 per month year round, even though they're there only. On
That's
the
how
summer.
the current is. Yes.
Okay.
He's proposing to remove the rent component, which honestly, it doesn't make sense at this point. No, he's not using the building in the off season. It's not being used for
Oh, I
anything.
didn't realize that we charged them in the off season.
Yeah, we had been. Again, when the pandemic hit, we stopped charging that fee. We didn't start it again until they opened in May.
Okay, so in 2019, was that similar as well? Because that number doesn't tie out either. So I'm just confused as to, like, so in 2019, it should be 12% of the 36,000, right? 833 plus $1,200 on top of that. Is that?
Plus 12.
Which is 5619, not 5260. So maybe we just need to
It should be.
double
Well-
check, or was there a rental issue back
There
then?
could have been, so when they do parties and stuff, right, we discount the party fees out of that. So that could be where that number comes in. This is the number that the village has on record in their software. And we'll double check, but I think it's because we discount out,
Okay.
those party rentals
It
and
would just be
things
nice to know
from
that,
it.
because the other numbers in the previous years tie out totally. And so if we were doing that previously, I mean, I know it was aggregate before, but 2018's fine, and, but those two, 2019 and 2021, just, I understand 2021 now is a rent collection situation. Do we feel that as Get Sauced, they were equally, are we as happy with them as when they were just Baldinelli's, when the
I
new
think we're
owners bought them?
happier with them as Get Sauced.
We're
I think
happier
their
with them?
management is better. I think that he's very, he has good business acumen. He's very prepared. He has spreadsheets he's been showing us and kind of a lot of great ideas. I think Baldinelli's was great. I just think they were inexperienced. I think Greg has a company that it's a successful company, and I think that he's, so far, I think we've been happy with him. The majority of the sales that were made were under his, he made a greater sales in his time than we did under the
Oh,
Baldinelli's
you
portion
did?
of the
Okay,
summer.
Great,
Yes.
didn't know that. And they still have another one-year contract?
No, the contract is done this year, so
Oh,
they're gonna
we're
come
gonna
back in
review.
January. We're talking about a new 3-year contract with them. That's what he's gonna come back in January to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
One quick question, Sammy. What percentage of the staff do you have to replace every year?
Maybe like, what'd you say, Brian, 30%?
30 to 40.
Like
Yeah.
30, 40? Do you have like a search firm you use, or do you have like, how do you find these people? Do you go to Hinsdale Central, put up posters, or what do you do to find people?
I mean, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I always reach out to the local swim clubs, high school coaches. And really,
Facebook.
we haven't struggled to
Yep.
get applications. Every year, like this past year, what we had all our spots filled by
Prior to the season.
yeah, prior to the season. I mean, April, middle of April, first of May. But it's getting kids that can work the entire season. You know, you get a lot of kids that are either coming home from college or high schoolers that as soon as they get into sports, we start to lose them. So that's what we've struggled with.
We've recently started advertising in the paper. We didn't used to, and we do sometimes boosted Facebook ads or social media ads to try to target people. But yeah, we also reach out to the other, I mean, not just Hinsdale Central, but
Yeah.
South and
We
Lions
get a lot
and
of
that.
kids from LT, and Downers.
Yeah.
And Brian's heavily involved in the aquatics community in Hinsdale, so he recruits people just in being at various other swim meets. So, and that's a huge asset as well. Any other questions about that?
This last season, we didn't have the Super Pass.
No,
Will
Clarendon
that be
Hills,
coming
Clarendon
back?
Hills didn't want to offer it. We've asked, but they haven't committed to it yet. I imagine it would. The reason they didn't do it this year was or last year was because of the pandemic, and they had very limited. While we opened our pool both years, they didn't open it all in 2020, and this past year they did a reservation system with only a max of 300 passes being sold for the whole season. So
I believe they opened in like mid-June and closed in mid-August.
they closed
as well.
mid-August. Yeah, they had a limited season, so they didn't offer any super passes this year. I anticipate again that they will come back next year, but they haven't committed to it yet.
And that's something we would want to
Yep.
to do because there's demand for it here.
Yep. I think we'll see people are coming to our pool too, so I think we'll still see a demand at our pool, and with the improvements that are being made, I think we'll probably see more Clarendon Hills residents that are interested. We actually took on a number of Clarendon Hills residents as non-resident passes this past year because they were looking for a different style of pool. So.
Can I ask a question about our pool? Now that we're having improvements made to it, I know that a few years ago we were worried about the longevity of the pool, et cetera. And now that it's there, and I have the Lundgrens here, which is so nice of you to stay for the swimming portion. But I am extremely curious. I saw that just in the past few weeks, you put a dome over the pool at Five Seasons, the outdoor pool, correct? And I know that I remember speaking to Sue Gould a few years ago, and they were asking us if that was a possibility. Is our pool able to handle that? Like, is that something that we could do where we could, Brian's shaking his head, no.
Oh, you guys put it up, I just stand in it.
I'm just wondering, what is the requirement for a dome? Because now that we're upgrading I would say our pool, it would be nice to be able to use it year-round and get revenue from it year-round if it's there. I don't know if we have that capability with the way it's built.
From my own experience.
Kurt, do you mind coming to the microphone just since it's, thank you. But I heard you were in the freezing cold water putting that dome up
Yes.
over the pool.
Do I have to announce myself in that?
Yes, please, that'd be great.
Kurt Lundgren, 415 South Washington Street, Hinsdale resident. Our boys swim for Hinsdale Swim Club. I was part of a group that volunteered to help put up this dome. It's over at 5 Seasons. That pool is a 25-yard, I think it's 25-meter, 8-lane pool. I think it's 8 lanes. Pretty much just a simple box with a side diving well. That dome went up. The key to that is the anchoring system. And I know driving by the pool, the Hinsdale Community Pool right now, you're doing some improvements, I think, with the deck, with the pool deck. The key with that system, it's pressurized air with blowers. Not very loud, but that was some of the issues that the neighbors had with it. But they run year-round. It's all pressurized air. There's also heaters that blow hot air into it that also then the bubble itself also allows the air to circulate. But the main part of it is the anchoring system that goes around, that wraps around the pool shape itself. It's about 18 inches deep concrete that there are eye bolts that are basically seasonally put in and taken out that then basically anchor the tarp down. So it's a bird air system is what perhaps you've seen like down at Navy Pier. It's that very heavy tarp, white. But some might think it might be not so aesthetic once it's up. But I definitely think that 50 meters by however many lanes, 10 lanes across, you could do it. It would be perhaps sizable, but there's ways to engineer it so that it's kept as low as possible. But again, it takes electricity and air to just keep it up.
I have a question. The anchoring system, you said it's 18 inches of concrete?
Eight-
Or is it
18
just
at
18
there,
inches
they went
down?
18 inches down, and it's about
Got it.
maybe 2 feet, maybe 18 inches wide.
Got it,
That's
okay.
what I understand what
Okay.
we were just talking about that last week. They had to dig a trench around to be able to put then
It's
the
open
anchor
right now.
bolts in. Anchor bolts are literally they're literally eye bolts. They're maybe 3 inches tall, and they're about a foot on center. The most expensive piece, I think, was that, and getting also the electricity to basically run the blowers. Sue Gold is the one who was in charge. She came in. I'm a licensed architect, so there's some things that I had looked at for them, but they didn't have the power. They had to extend the power out, temporary power, to be able to plug everything in. But for the most part, it goes up in a day and comes down in a day. So
And how long will it be up?
it'll be up the entire year. And 5 Seasons
That's not
is.
going to be an outdoor pool anymore?
Or I'm sorry, through the winter season.
Just the
I'm
winter
sorry.
season.
I'm sorry, not the
May
entire
1?
year. May.
Lisa, do you
May
want?
1.
Maybe I should have asked Lisa. I
I'm
knew
sorry,
he
when
was
you asked that
annoyed.
question,
I'm kidding.
It went up literally last week, and it'll be up until May. But it is, 5 Seasons has found it attractive because it allows their, not only to rent the pool out to the club, but also for their tennis and, well, their club users to be able to use the
But-
pool year round, or
but-
through that season, sorry.
But they had their pool heated from Labor Day or whatever until this dome went
Literally
up.
November, right.
Because we arrived to put the dome up and they had a member that was swimming.
In
no
November.
dome
Right.
in the water. And you said the water was warm.
Water was about 82, 83.
Wow.
Air temperature was cool, but again, when I meant year-round, is it allows them to use their
Of
facility
course,
year-round.
yeah.
It's gotta be expensive to heat that pool.
So, if I can
The
interject
pool,
real
the
quick.
pool itself or the space?
The water.
Oh, that I can't speak to, yeah, no.
So since I am one of the CPOs for the village, and I do work part-time at 5 Seasons in addition to coaching, it's a whole nother conversation. Our filtration system is outdoors, theirs is not. Theirs is inside in a heated area, and their water is also pushed out from inside.
Okay, that was my question. Is it
Yeah.
even feasible?
No, that's what I was gonna add too. that
And
it's very, probably
this
not
is going to be
likely.
a very costly idea project.
Okay.
I know the cost that HSC put into it was pretty expensive. I think the longevity of that is supposed to be 10 years, I believe. That's a question for Sue, but if there's a way that we can get our heaters indoors somehow and also get our filter room, the whole pump room, to be heated, I mean, we've seen the photos of what can happen in there during the winter. That's probably about the only way it would work.
So our pump room is heated. We've had a heater fail before, but
Okay.
it's heated to like a minimum temperature. Our chlorine tanks are outside, though our heaters are outside. Our also what's not heated is none of our restrooms, our bathrooms, none of our locker rooms are heated. None of that area is heated. But if you remember, and I'm not an engineer, but if you remember when we did the original pool study, that we have an issue with beyond 8 inches down, we have an issue with the soil there. So that's why they're redoing the decks is because of the shifting. So I don't know the feasibility because of the soil issues we have there.
Okay, it sounds like we have a lot of issues. So I wanted to know,
it's not
and I knew you had
impossible.
just done it,
No.
but this is great to know.
Yeah,
Because
and it
I
is-
know we've talked about extending the life of it.
I think if the commission ever wants to go down there, I think that could probably be arranged for you guys just to see what they have done, how it's laid out and what it looks like. But I think there's a lot of other unanswered questions that the village
Yeah,
needs to look
it's
at.
not impossible. I think there'd be a significant number of challenges opposed to something that like Five Seasons has. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. You know, another thing for the pool, like, we have no Wi-Fi there, right?
No.
No? Is that something we've talked about? I mean, it would be so nice to have Wi-Fi. I feel like
We're
everyone likes to
looking
be
into
connected.
We've looked into it. It's going to be, do you remember what that cost estimate? Our IT staff gave us a cost estimate. It's pretty significant.
Is it?
Because there's currently everything is,
Thank you so much.
is wired right now. So there's a significant cost to it.
There would have to be a way to wire from the main pool building to the back part, to the west, or the east part of the deck. So it would just require a lot of infrastructure that we don't currently have to have Wi-Fi. So it would be a very costly project. It's not something that we've ruled out, but it's something to look into.
We're still looking into alternatives of what we can do to try to even just get something available or boosted in the area. Because we originally thought, oh, what if we even did like some of the pools do, where you pay like a small access fee and you can then to help subsidize those costs. But just because the pool's remote and the way it's set up currently, there's a significant infrastructure fee to do it.
Do most people have unlimited data these days anyways, and does it
Yeah.
matter?
Most-
Is that kind of it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The only other thing I want to add to the pool is this Sammy and Brian. I mean, there's enough of other issues that come up. It's really nice that they really take the lead on the pool. But I don't know if you've noticed, but we put Brian in this place 2-3 years ago. Having someone on site has been huge, and I want to acknowledge, if you guys don't see that, Brian's there every day in some capacity on top of doing the 12 other jobs he has.
They keep increasing every time we see him.
And he's really the face of the pool. A lot of the significant changes have been driven by Sammy, but Brian's there putting those things into place, and it's nice that we have a team that works together well and is responsive. And I know that the community is sharing that they just like that there's someone on site. So it's helped with management of issues that we normally have with management of staff, everything like that. So.
No,
Thank you,
thank you.
Brian.
And you know, it's so lovely to see the pool in the black. I remember years ago, we were having discussions, we were so worried about our pool and we were losing money and people didn't want to come. And so it is so nice to be over that hump and moving forward. So thank you for, I think, the programming, I think the expense, the way you guys have really tightly been managing the employee when it's bad weather, et cetera. Really, and the new programs, it's great. So thank you. It's nice to have it. I think the pool is just a real benefit to our community here.
For sure. We're excited to see it. The deck work should be completed by the end of this year. And then the painting and a handful of other items will be done in early spring. So
Yeah, and the locker rooms paint, everything. I mean, it's gonna look great.
Locker rooms are gonna
by
be
next
painted,
summer.
yep. We're putting new flooring in those outdoor bathrooms, the ones that are off the concession stands. So, number of new improvements. It'll look beautiful.
Be
So,
great.
Heather, the deck it's the existing floor
Right now,
plan.
it's the existing form, what's existing that's being replaced. And, you know, we have a couple of other phases that we are not sure what that work's gonna look like, but we have money budgeted for it, so we'll be looking at doing different things, the end of season. We do have the climbing wall listed. It's supposed to be purchased at the beginning of this year, but again, with the way, raw material supplies are, we don't know that we'll have it before the season. The anticipated time would be putting it at the end of next season, so it would be for 2023.
Okay.
But that is part of the grant, so it is something that'll go forward, so.
Something I just wanted to comment on is, as far as the landscaping and the pruning and kind of keeping that up through the season, I assume, and I think at the beginning of the season, you know, the bushes outside the fence there on the north side are, you know, trimmed and nice. Inside the pool area, like those trees and some of the areas that we've talked about, that we might remove some of that stuff in the next phase. But I still do think that it could use some serious pruning, you know, before the season starts. Let's get everything pruned and looking really good, because it tends to look overgrown in there.
Yeah, we agree, actually. John and I just had a conversation last week when I was out at the pool for a meeting where I was taking photos of some of the things inside, saying, can you just remove these before next season?
Oh.
So I think there'll be a handful of things related to that you'll see changing. And some new plantings, because they had to take some things out with the duct work and things like that. And we're going to be moving into a phase where we'll have a new landscaping contractor too. So I think that we'll be asking them to do some extra work too. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
It's definitely on our list, so.
And just finally, do we expect a lot more expenses? I know you said that there were still, the expenses weren't finalized yet for this year.
Yeah, there's a handful of things. So that, like, the heater work hadn't been done yet. So we do it end of season again. End of every season, there's some significant heater work. So I would guess, and this is purely a guess at this point, because we still pay for some chemicals and electric and all that goes through the end of the season. But I guess we'll still end up with like 65 to 70,000. So I would think that there's probably still going to be at least 30,000 or so, at least of
All right, so it's more in line
expenses.
with what it was 2 years ago. 'Cause
Yeah,
right
I
now
mean, I
it's at
think it'll
100,000
still be
or
higher than it previously was, I think, but
okay,
not as low as last year. It'll still be in the black though.
Okay. Any other questions on the pool? Okay, well, great report, great season.
Thank you.
Sammy and Brian, thank you. Correspondence?
You know, I feel really bad. I don't want to cut back, but we've heard all our correspondence. But I feel like I don't mention that Maggie did a significant amount of work at the pool this year too, with all the registrations and stuff. And I feel like I need to call that out just because we're praising everyone. So significant amount of work with registration processes and things like that. So
Please don't ever ask me to spend that much time on the phone with our software provider again.
You've received all of our correspondence.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought we'd gotten it all.
Yes.
Okay, other business discussion items. HPTA, the HUT update?
Yep, just a brief update. They're in the middle of their finals right now. I know that they had someone out looking at the finals last week that they failed. It's not a big deal. Just kind of going through saying, here's a few items you need to address still. I know that the big window that they're putting in, the big showpiece window, is on severe back order. So for the time being, they've drywalled and painted over that. They'll have to cut that out and install the window later. But I'm anticipating, our building inspector told me today, he anticipates within the next 2 weeks it'll be able to be finalized out officially. So I did ask Mark Schaub and Marty to let me know when they have their kind of ribbon cutting planned, what they'd like to do. And so as soon as I have that, I will share it with the commission.
That is going to be so exciting to see. Can't wait. Okay, PNR newsletter, commission highlights.
Yes, so if you guys saw the newsletter this month,
Yeah.
Alice was featured. We have a couple staff still that will kind of, mingle in there, but we'd like to start featuring all of you. So I can't guarantee what month.
I thought somebody was going to edit that all.
I can't guarantee what month
Guys,
you'll
come
be,
on.
but we would appreciate it if you guys would be willing to participate and kind of share that. Especially now, I feel like you're really well known in the community now that everyone's know a little bit more about you.
Hopefully on a more positive light.
I think we don't have to buy any more drinks.
Put a little more of a positive spin on all of it. So just to let you know, those may be coming. Obviously with there being 7 of you, we do one each month, but we will, over the next year, we'd like to feature all the commission members.
I do plan on going alphabetically, so Darren, you're not.
Alice is a tough act to follow.
Okay.
I had a friend say, "Oh, I was reading about Alice. I did not know all of those lords." Good job, Alice.
But yeah, if any of you want me to take your picture tonight too for a feature, I can. Otherwise, you're welcome to send me a picture as well.
The picture was the tough. It was like, I need a picture. The next day, I'm like, sorry,
Yeah.
here's a few. She
The
did some
picture
great
was
job.
great.
I sent her some
I
group
did tell
shot and she
Sammy,
pulled it
I
out of
reminded her that we had that really lovely photo of you cutting the ribbon for the platform tennis that we could have, or for pickleball.
completely
Oh, for
forgot.
pickleball.
I completely forgot
It was a
about
really
that
nice
photo.
picture, but
Oh, was it?
you still made it. You still gave us a nice picture, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But
Whatever. I can't wait to read about the rest of the commissioners. Yes. Awesome. Okay, and no December meetings, so.
no, enjoy your holidays.
Wow. Thanks to 2021.
We do. You will. I mean, obviously, emails here and there. If you have any other things related to the dog issues, obviously, we're bringing that forward. I know I gave you guys information on changing hours, some ordinance information. If there's any of that you want to see move forward, we'll do that.
So Heather, what is the best way to handle this? You know, we have all these FOIA issues. We can't, or not FOIA, whatever. We can't really talk to each other. And I feel like, you know, it's going to be Thanksgiving and Christmas. The next thing you know, we're going to be in here in January.
Yep.
What is the best way for us as a commission? And I'm asking everybody here what the process is. Do we need a subcommittee? Do we need, I don't know what we need, but I feel like we need a little bit of work to go through what our other recommendations are. How do we
There's
best
a
do that?
document that I proposed to you guys that has recommendations on it. So I guess if you can start there, let me know. If we think we need a subcommittee, we can. But I mean, if you just want to reach out to me in contact, or if you guys want to meet in pairs, we can meet in pairs and talk between now and then. But I guess I'd like to have it at the January meeting, kind of talk through these things and wait again to give time for people to give feedback if they want to, so that it's out there for the public. So I don't even know that January meeting we'd actually be making any official recommendation or vote. I think that's where we would kind of talk through it and give the community time to see what we're
But will we
proposing.
have additional information than what we have now?
I mean, if there's something you'd like us to pull additionally, we can. I mean, I think a lot of that information is a lot of the information related to, you know, hours of other places or what the use of the park is. We already have. We just need to compile it in one place.
Okay.
So if that's what you're looking for, I guess. I mean, I have all the notes of everything.
Seems like
so
the information we need is, what are the other options from the builder? What, you know, and we kind of talked about this before, no dog park, no fields, what is the option to get from the builder? That seems like something.
Yeah, I'd rather not discuss that at a public meeting. We need to talk with our
I
attorneys
understand
and
that, but
the
I think
board.
to me, that's the big thing, that.
Yeah, I guess I see that as a separate issue from updating ordinance, updating things related to the off-leash area.
It is a
They're
different
still-
issue, but I
yeah.
think in previously, we kind of talked as if it was the dog park or nothing. That doesn't sound like a very equitable option with the builder, but that's my opinion of it, so.
Yep.
We don't have to talk about it, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to understand why that would be an outcome, nothing.
So I guess my thought is that we're looking to address some of the issues that the village is having with dogs off leash and safety issues or things like that related to park. And then items like Alita has mentioned where maybe we don't want dogs at 5 a.m. Or like Cheryl's emails where she's, you know, what can we do to help curb some of those issues? So if you think of other things, again, if we want to meet in groups, we can do a subcommittee. Is anyone interested in doing that? Does everyone want to meet between now and the holidays? Otherwise, I guess we would start with here's suggestions to the January meeting and then expand on it from there.
But it seems to me like we've got a number of good ideas floating around. Somebody just needs to kind of formulate that, pull that together as
Yep.
an overall set of recommendations.
Yep.
Whether you do that and we do a little back and forth.
Yep. Well, I think
you
I've
know,
already
behind the
started that, so I'm
scenes,
happy
or
to
a
continue with that.
subcommittee does that.
Yeah.
It feels
I'm
like
happy to continue with it if that's
your
what-
list is a good starting point, and why don't we just all send an email to Heather with any additional suggestions or things we don't like on there, and then you can kind of.
Yep. And I know like Steve has already done that. Steve said, hey, I really like this, but I think this should change or this should be different.
Yeah.
So, or if there's something missing from there, if there's something on there that's not listed, then we can talk about that too. So.
Yeah.
I think, because I think something like the hours, for instance, you know, none of us are regular users of the dog park, so I can make an argument for why I think that these hours are good, or particular hours, but then, you know, we're gonna have to present it, and if nobody's here to present it to, you know, how do we get the feedback? Or we don't necessarily need.
Well, I mean, it's all, I guess my first thought is that it's all things that that are being driven by suggestions, but we have those email addresses that we email people to remind them of meetings, so we can just email and say, here's the item if you want to provide me any feedback. And again, like I encourage them tonight, they can call me, they can email me, we can discuss those things too. So we're going to be transparent about what it is. So if we want to email people, just let them know, anything like that, we can
But
do
it
that.
would be nice, yes, to be able to do that before the Friday before the meeting. So we
Right.
don't get barraged all like on the weekend. It would be nice to be able to send that out, you know, a week or two ahead of time or something so that they have time to give us their feedback.
Yeah, I think we have a good starting base on that already. So I would even think before the holidays, we can send it out and say, think on this and give us some feedback so we have it prior to the meeting.
You could even post it on that website they started.
Yeah,
Save the
we're going to start a dedicated site on the village's webpage dedicated that we will update, that'll have all the dog information, and as these things change, a dedicated place, and where people can subscribe, I think, to an email list, so that you know, we have like the Hinsdale, they can subscribe to an email list that's just for notifications about KLM Park. So cross country will go out that way. Any events we have where we're closing the park. Someone had mentioned tonight that like KLM doesn't get closed for rain. I think there's things like that. KLM does get closed for rain. It's actually one of the parks.
Only park that does get closed for rain.
Well, all of the parks get closed for rain, like the fields and things like that. But KLM specifically, because of the flooding that happens there, the entire park at times will get closed. Where other places it's just the fields. So I mean, knowing that we've had a number of instances where dogs or even people have washed through the culvert, it's actually a place that we would really encourage people not to use, especially during heavy rains. So. Things like that can be sent out though. Like we have a better idea of how to notify people and who those groups of people are. And you know, there's a number of ways of going about this. But if we, you know, permit the park, and no fees attached. I'm not saying for residents or anything like that. But if we just say here, please come get this permit showing that you've registered with us, we can provide rules that way. We can provide notifications that way. I think there's a number of ways to work to curtail some of that. So. But anyway, yes, no meeting December. Feel free.
Do you
I will
have
send
the calendar for next year that you could forward to us for the meetings for next
not
year?
officially yet. Chris Bruton, when she releases it, once the village president approves it, will come out.
Okay,
But
great.
January 11th is our tentative date. I know in the past, sometimes the village board doesn't always meet the first Tuesday. Sometimes they go to the second Tuesday in January. But right now, January 11th is our tentative
Which
date. So
means
as soon as I have that,
So would we get bumped to the third Tuesday?
we would get, like to the 18th, I think, if they do that. I'm not sure that they will at this point, but.
Okay.
I think we're planning on going forward with 6 PM though, if everyone's, so it won't be, that'll
Does
be
that
our
still
set
work for
meeting time
everybody?
going forward.
6 p.m.?
Yeah.
Still better? Okay. Probably better for you guys too, right?
I'll follow up this week with just that list of ideas again, and then feel free to share any feedback you have, and that'll give me a starting point to go.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank you to all of you for all of your work on this. I know it's been
Nice
a
job.
barrage, but you know, I think we got through it well, and hopefully everyone is happy. So we can just
And
build upon
your
that.
email responses too, I mean, thank you for emailing that, which I know is part of the job, but it's just that people like to get a response, and it was nice to see that they were getting that.
You even responded for me sometimes, so thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Do we need to roll call the adjournment?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Baker.
Aye.
Commissioner Bora.
Aye.
Commissioner Hester.
Aye.
Commissioner Keen.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
All right.
8:10.
All right, thank you so much.